Evening, everybody. I am doing one last video, hopefully, and continue with the listing off books that I am thinking about reading. Okay, so let's get into it. Alright, next set of books. So the next one is this one. This was one of those ones I got from the Givens bookstore, the used bookstore near me. Back in August, they had a buy one sci-fi, get another one free sale. So I got a lot of mass market paperback science fiction books. And a couple of larger books, a couple of hardback ones too. But mostly mass market. I got several RA self-taught books. But this is one of the books I got at that time. Acacia, which is, of course, part of a series, so this will probably be a series that I will have to order online. I will have to put on my Amazon wishlist over time. But I've read a little bit, and my number one thought is the main family in the story reminds me of the Starks in a lot of ways from A Song of Ice and Fire series. But it's a fantasy series about these 4 siblings. Their father is killed, and this is in the summary. And they are also being hunted down because the people that the other kingdoms and people of this kingdom their kingdom don't really think the king was a very good king. I think he's not as good as he once was, and they also want to kill the line. They don't want the bloodline to continue, so they are hunting down all 4 of the kids as well. I have just got to the last part I read was the part when the father was just assassinated, and the kids are wondering if he's going to be okay. They still have hope that their father is going to survive, but I'm guessing from the back description that it's not going to happen. It's kind of sad. It's a bit of a sad beginning. But that's how a lot of fantasy books start, I think. A lot of, especially adult fantasy, like a very tragic beginning, and then the ending is usually pretty good, but sometimes there's a bitterness to it because a lot of authors kill off parents and stuff like that, and or lovers and all that kind of stuff. So I have liked it so far. The little bit I've read, but I have taken a really long break, but I need to jump back into this soon, because I don't want this to be another one of those books that I take really long breaks in between reading of it, because I have several here that are like that, where I started them, but then I took a really long break in between. And then, this is another one of those books that I did that, but the good news is I've already read this one, and that is Stephen King's It. And I don't think I even need to tell you what this one is about, because, the movie came out last year, the movie that was this is one of my first Stephen King, still my favorite to this day, and I wanted to read it again, around the time that the movie came out, but then, this book is so long, it's over 1,000 pages, so a book like that, if it's not super action-packed, and exciting and thrilling and all that, then I'm gonna, as much as I like it and enjoy it, I might get a little bored and want to take a break and read something a little more exciting. And I'm not talking exciting like a thriller novel or something. I'm talking exciting like fantasy. Like hardcore fantasy, like the one I just showed you. Or like a lot of YA fantasy. So I gotta get back into that. I should read some of it this month, because it's perfect for this month. But again, there's no way I'll get that book done within 30 days. Even though I've already started, I have a good chunk of it read. I'm still not going to get it done within 30 days. Unless I only read that book and read 24 hours, 24/7, which will not happen because, I still have work. And then Friday, Monday, and Wednesday, I have class. So, I'm not in class. I'm not in classes the whole day, but sometimes on those days I also have work. And sometimes, and when you come home for work, especially in the, in jobs where you're working in retail, or in my case, grocery work at a grocery store, I feel weird calling that one retail. When I think retail, I think of like at least Walmart or like the stores that are at the malls and stuff, or like Marshalls or something. I don't think of a grocery store as retail, but I guess it is retail. So, I also have started this book, Theft of Swords by Michael J. Sullivan, and this is again another one of those series books. Unfortunately, not all the chapters are short. Some of them can be a bit long. But I'm really liking this, and unfortunately, I can't, again, because of the size of the book, since I don't have a locker. I'm not gonna get a locker because I'm only part-time and I only get like 50 minutes break. So I'm not gonna bring this book. It's not really worth it to bring it with me to work. And I mean, if I drove to work, then yeah, maybe I would have it in my car. But, I don't drive. I physically cannot drive. But anyway, so there's this one I want to continue with. I'm really liking it. It's a really fun series. And this one, the series that it's like I started this one and the other one that is kind of like this before. Like, I don't know if there's any hype about the series, if anyone is talking about the series, and I don't want to know. Because part of my problem, as I said in a recent video that I did discussion on this, that I feel like a lot of times I get into books and they are already popular. And as I said in that video, it's not about the hype. If it's popular, that's great. It means it's doing well and that the author did something right. Even if not everybody is in love with the book. The author still did something right because it's still loved by a lot of people. My thing is, I want to be part of that first group of people. I want to be part of that group of people who loved it first. And so far, I haven't heard anyone talk about this book. So it's like, I want to be one of those people who first recommends this book. And the same thing with this other book, which I do know that there are people who have read this book. I mean, because that's how I heard about the book. I no longer just find out about books by going to the bookstore. I find out about books by BookTube. So I do know it has there are people that enjoy it. But it's not like one of those super popular books that every booktuber talks about. Like Becky Albertalli's books, or Adam Silvera's books, or Rick Riordan's books. Or like Marissa Meyer's books even. Or people still will talk about Twilight sometimes. Like Stephanie Meyer's. But I want to be part of that first group. That's how I feel. I want to be part of that first group. And so far I've only heard Reagan from Peru's projects bring up this series. And the same thing with the other book, which is around here somewhere. Not her, but I saw it on Aaliyah Brooks' bookshelf. But I haven't heard people talk about it, and I'll show you that book in a minute, once I come across it. But yeah, I want to read this one. Well, let me real quick give you a description. So far, it's basically with these two guys, who I'm guessing are these two dudes, they are thieves for hire. So this guy hires them to steal a sword from another king. But when they do, it turns out they are being framed for murder because the king, when they get there to steal the sword, they find the body of the king. And he's dead. So they're just standing there all shocked. And then the prince and the guards come running in and discover them. And so it looks like they're the ones that killed him. And the king in waiting, the prince, his sister approaches them and when they're in jail because the new king is like, I want these guys executed. I don't care what they have to say. They'll probably just lie. And so the sister comes to them and tells them she knows that they didn't do it. And she wants them to kidnap her. She's going to help them escape. She's going to let them escape. But she wants them to kidnap her brother and take him to this prison where there's this famous prisoner there. And he can give her brother some information. But the brother, when he realizes what's going on, he tells them, the guys, Hadrian and Royce, those are the thieves, that, oh, my sister is full of bullshit, and she's been trying to take the throne from me for a long time. But when they learn from this monk that maybe his sister isn't entirely full of bullshit, and that there might be more to this. And they go on and they decide, along with the monk, to go on this journey to find this secret prison and investigate it. So I'm at the part where they have gone to the prison, and it kind of, the prison, this part, the part with the prison, it kind of reminds me of the scene in The Hobbit, in the Battle of the Five Armies movie, or not the Battle of the Five Armies, the Smaug, the Desolation of Smaug movie, and I'm assuming it's in the book too. When they get to the cave, the dwarves, the mountain cave, they can't get in there without, there's a riddle that they have to figure out to get in there. Like, a certain kind of light has to hit the rock wall and then show them the way. And then it also kind of reminds me of the scene in the Fellowship of the Ring, when they get to, they have to go hide there. They have to hide in this cave. In this mountain cave, and the only way they can get in is, they have to solve a riddle. And it kind of reminds that part kind of reminds me of those two scenes in Lord of the Rings. And I imagine most fantasy authors are inspired by Lord of the Rings anyway, inspired by Tolkien's work. So, which I did see Tolkien at that used bookstore. I saw Silmarillion and I saw the original Lord of the Rings books. But I'm not gonna. There's no point, because I doubt I'm ever gonna read Silmarillion. I would like to say I will, but it's hard enough reading Lord of the Rings, at least for me anyway. So I definitely want to read this one. I am really enjoying it. And it's an easy read, too. I also want to read, the next one that was just, The Enchanted by Renee Denfeld. I think this is magical realism. Like, this woman goes to this prison where this guy tells the story of why he's in there, and there might be more to him than he might be more than just what they think. So that's all I really know. I want to read it. And what's interesting is this was another one from the used bookstore, so surprisingly there are quite a few, pencil markings in this. Not like scribbles, but like a person's notes and stuff and underlined sentences, which I think is really cool. They basically kind of defaced it. Not defaced it per se, but they put their mark on the book. And I like the thought of that, because then it gives you an idea of who. Like, it's kind of like I'm getting someone else's. It's kind. I guess it's the same feeling that Julie from Pages and Pens feels when she does that book exchange thing, and she gets to read other people's notes. When she's a booktuber that will exchange books with other people, and they will write commentary in the book, and it kind of feels, it's kind of like that, like someone put put a part of themselves in the book. I guessing it's Marilyn Barrett. So, and as I'm looking at these, I'm thinking, ooh, I want to read this one like right now. But I want to get that library book done first. So that way I can return them on Monday, which is good. If I get them done tonight, then I can just return them on Monday. Because unfortunately, I can't take it back tomorrow because I'm working in the morning and the bookstore, the library closes early on Saturdays. I know, surprise. It's like, oh my god, I can't believe the library closes early on Saturday. But and then Sunday it's closed completely because It's the day this is a town where I imagine a lot of Christians live, or at least people that go to church. So, yeah, it's closed on Sunday, unfortunately. So I'm gonna have to wait until Monday, which I also have to print out Monday, see if I'm working on Monday. Like I said, I'm volunteering for Tuesday. Unless if I work on Monday, then I might just ask my mom if I can. Okay, so this was the other book that I saw on Elliot Brooks' channel that I wanted to mention. Malice by John Gwynne. This is adult fantasy like the other one that I showed you, the Theft of Swords. And my problem is I'm not very good at summarizing fantasy books, especially adult fantasy, unless I've already heard other people talk about this. But like I said, I don't want to know if the book is popular yet. I don't want to know if it's hyped in any capacity. I mean, I know that there are people who have read this book, obviously, but this is another series. And basically, it's, four main characters. This kid Corbin, who's like 16, he wants to be a warrior for his king. And that day might be coming, but it might come before he's ready. And then you have Evanus, who I think he's an adult. He lost his wife. His wife was killed. I think she had a disease or something. And the king, he wanted to get the medicine to save her, but the king was like, no, I need you to stay here right now, because the king had to go to this meeting with all the other kings in the land. So his wife died, sadly, and now he blames the king for that. And he almost lost his son in a little small battle. And now he's full of, he's got a lot of anger. And he wants revenge. And then you have Veradus. He is this young man he has been living under his brother's shadow for a long time. And he finally gets the chance to make a name for himself when he is sent. He and his brother go see the High King and his the High King, and he ends up becoming a part of the war band to Prince Nothair, the High King's son. Which brings us to the High King's son, Nothair, the character of Nothair. He is he's eager to be king, and he has all these plans and ideas, but he doesn't. His father, King Aquilus, High King Aquilus, is still alive, and he does not agree with everything his father does. But right now there's this whole overarching plot where there is something's going on in the Banished Lands. Giants are returning, and this prophecy seems to be coming true. And all this magical, bizarre stuff is happening. And the High King suspects something's going on, and they're going to be at war soon. And I am loving this book too. I also want to start. I've started collecting sci-fi books. And I know this particular one was made into a TV series. And this is another one that I haven't got far enough to really give a good summary, a good description of what this one is about. This is Leviathan Wakes by James S. Corey. And this is another popular book. I think it's pretty popular on BookTube. Like I said, it's a sci-fi series, but unfortunately, I think it got canceled after 3 seasons. But possibly Netflix is picking it up, I think. Or they did pick it up. I don't know. But they kind of compare it to a science fiction version of Game of Thrones. And actually George R. R. Martin blurbed it. And so far, it's definitely interesting. I'm kind of new to the sci-fi world. The closest I came to sci-fi was the Lunar Chronicles. So I want to continue with that one too. The problem is those are big books, so they're not as easy to travel with. And I also want to read I want to start reading more Neil Gaiman. I've read The Graveyard Book and The Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman. Those were library books. I don't have those anymore, but I really enjoyed those. Originally, my plan was to start with this one, but I decided since I saw those there. Well, originally I was going to get Coraline, but then I didn't see Coraline, but I saw those two books, so I got those two. And now I need to get into this book, The American Gods, which is, about the Greek gods, and the new gods are at war, and this guy, Shadow, who was once in jail, he's being chosen to help the gods. He'll kind of be the in-between guy, from what I know. And he's being guided by this dude, Mr. Wednesday. So that's all I really know about this. Like I said, I gotta get started on that. And then here's two of the Stephen King books I need to read, other than It. The Shining, I need to continue. I've been wanting to read The Shining for a long time. I love haunted house stories, and this is not a haunted house story per se. It's actually a haunted hotel story, but still, I've been wanting to read it, and I've started it. And it's basically this writer and his family inherit they become caretakers of this overlook hotel, and they're kind of isolated in the middle of nowhere. And his son, him and his wife are having marital problems. He has a bad temper. He's a bit of an alcoholic. He's trying to publish a book, and his son has abilities where he can see supernatural things. And one of the employees of the hotel refers to it as The Shining. And I've seen bits and pieces of the movie, the Stanley Kubrick movie. And I know that Stephen King, who did not like that version of the movie and did not like the casting of Jack Nicholson, he made his own. He wrote his own screenplay based on his book, a mini-series, which I've never seen. I want to say Shelley Duvall, or no, Shelley Duvall might have been in the Stanley Kubrick movie. I don't know. But, yeah. And then I also need to read this one, The Eyes of the Dragon. This is one of his fantasy books. This was kind of what inspired him to write this book is I think I read either in the description or somewhere else that he's kind of dared to write this book. It's one of his fantasy books. He doesn't write a lot of fantasy, but he has dipped in, the Dark Tower series is kind of fantasy. It's very dark, gritty, hard Western kind of fantasy. So those are some of the Stephen King books I need to read. And, this video is getting way too long again. And then this one sounded like one of those good Halloween or a Christmas read. And the reason why I say Christmas read too, because first of all, it's about this woman who, she believes it's a bit of a ghost story, and it kind of like her uncle or father might be related to Ebenezer Scrooge, so that's why I think it's a good Christmas read, because it kind of references to Christmas Carol, and it's a little different from the usual foray of Gregory Maguire. He writes a lot of fairy tale retellings, so I wanted to read that one for either Christmas or Halloween. I think I might save them for Christmas, because like I said, some of these books I gotta at least save for the beginning of next year and the end of this year. Okay, and then I also, out of the YA books I gotta read, I need to read Winter. I'm doing a reread of the Lunar Chronicles, so I gotta read Winter, but I kind of told my friend, who I've been trying to get to read the series, I did tell her that I would like to read this with her, so I might hold off on Winter, so we can read it together. And I've already read it once, so it's not like, and then I want to read this one, and I did start this one the last time we were visiting my sister, The Crown's Game, which is two magicians are competing to be the court magician, and one of them has to kill the other, but they both fall in love with each other. And so does the Crown Prince, apparently, which is what I read so far. So, yes, it's a love triangle. But I heard it's really good. It's a duology, so it's not that long. And it kind of reminds me of Throne of Glass a little bit. Maybe, and it's kind of Russian-inspired setting. So, I'm gonna check. So, I'm gonna continue with that one. And this is the final book in a series that I need to continue with. This is a middle grade series. I think early middle grade, it's like 5th or 6th grade level. The writing style is very juvenile. It's about this kid, Javine, who is half human, half gray elf. And he gets to go to the Library Academy, which is for dragon riders. So it's Inheritance Cycle meets Harry Potter, kind of. But it's nothing like those books. It's very different, but it's similar. And, it has the typical elements of a boarding school story, bullies, making friends, teachers are kind of bullies too, learning academics, and then, of course, he ends up being chosen for something, and he gets to be the hero. He, in fact, has to save his mentor in the first book, and this is the final book. And I am really loving it. This is just a really fun series that I'm loving. So I want to keep going with that one. And then I'm going to do a couple more books. And then I guess I am going to have to do a part 3 of this. I really got to learn to not pick so many books. Or just not do these kind of videos. Because who knows, maybe you guys don't even like these kinds of videos. I don't know. But, I also need to read the 4th book in this series because, I know people have fallen out of love with the series. They didn't like the first book, and they did not, and I know people like Sam from Thoughts on Tomes did not like the last 2 books, but I'm going to keep going with it. This is the 4th book, and people like Sam and others have said this is kind of the last good book in the series, but I don't know. I might feel differently than they do. So I'm going to keep going. This is kind of like a young adult version of Song of Ice and Fire series. With, magic and stuff. The magic's more prominent, I feel like. And no zombie monsters. No zombie ice monsters in this book. But I really like the other ones so far, and I need to continue with this one. So, I'm going to continue with that. And then this one is one I got from the used bookstore. And I think it's actually kind of a German, I think it's a German book that was translated. And it's a fantasy book about, he finds out, this young Prince Florin finds out, I think he's a boy, like literally a boy, and finds out this whole family has been killed, and he is kidnapped, and he is enslaved to the court jester Minimus. So it looked very interesting. Like I said, just with the cover and the premise sounded really interesting, really intriguing. I think, and like I said, I think it is a German story, I think. I don't know. But anyway, so I'm kind of interested in this one. I might bring this one with me, and maybe once I'm done with it, who knows, I might set this book aside for a book to read to the boys when they get older, my nephews. It just looked like a fun story, so I'm going to read that one. And then I also want to read Shadow of the Wind, which I just recently heard someone bring up this book again on a video I watched. Hey, when I come across this. But, this is not what I got from the used bookstore. About this young boy, his father takes him to a library where he can pick any book he wants. And he picks the book called The Shadow of the Wind, and he falls in love with that book. But then he realizes that he wants to reading all the other authors' other works, but then he realized that someone has been destroying the author's other works. And this is the only one left. So, our main character, the boy, decides to figure out what's up. Why are all this author's works all being destroyed? And that's all I know. And I did intend this book. Now, this book is one I read as a kid, and it's one I want to read on October if I'm not working. Or at least I'm getting home at a decent hour. And that is Scary Stories Treasury. This is a bunch of short, scary stories. And this actually is being turned into a film or a TV series by Benedict Del Toro as the director. I'm familiar with the director, but I don't watch a lot of his stuff, or I don't look out for it or anything like that. But someone pointed out that he would be perfect for a project like this, for the style, with the art and everything. And it's just a bunch of creepy stories. Although there was one story I thought I remember from this series, and the funny thing is I looked through it a little bit and I could not find it. And it's a story about, like, this boy's out with his girlfriend, and she's always wearing a green scarf, and he asks her why she's always wearing, but she's like, I can't tell you yet. And eventually she tells him, and of course it's something really dark and creepy. That's all I'm going to say. So if you ever come across that story, let me know. But yeah, I remember really loving this as a kid, and I want to read it again. And I'm going to read it on Halloween, I think. So, unfortunately, I think I need to stop there for now. and once I'm done with these videos, I'm going to choose throughout all these books I've shown to you. Not including the library books, of course. The library books I have to read. But I'm going to choose through all these books here that I've shown you on these videos and pick which books I want to focus on. So, if you like this video, be sure to give a thumbs up. And if you have not, and you like this video, please subscribe. And I hope, as always, you are enjoying the reading. And I will talk to you all later. Alright, bye!